The following podcast is brought to you by Cast Content Media.
Hey guys, it's Ron Worley, your most imperfect host of Sons of Ditches. People are liars, thieves, addicts, and assholes. Some people change, and a few make a difference. But everyone has a story. Hey everyone, another week of Sons of Ditches. Stay tuned here shortly. We're going to have a couple of things that are coming up after the show. I am going to go to twice a week here soon because you guys want more. I don't believe that, but that's what they're telling me. So we're going to do that. Today, I have a very special guest, and I'm excited to ask her one particular question. Her name is Stephanie Olson. You can go to stephanieolson.com and check out her two books that she has written. She is an author, a brilliant author. And my favorite part is that she believes in Jesus Christ. And also the founder of Set Me Free Project, which is a human trafficking program. Actually, not a program.
Counter trafficking.
Counter trafficking. There we go. Stephanie, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, thank you. So I'm just going to get right into it because I said I was going to ask the question, and we got so much to talk about. But I'm very interested to hear your take. Okay, everybody on my audience knows I died and came back to life 5 years ago. In my death, the only thing I remember was that I was dark. It was dark, and I was very cold. There was no afterlife for me as far as heaven. Now, I've got a friend that says that we all go to hell first, then go to heaven, and that I might have just made it to hell, and now I'm back to life. My wife jokes and says, "You better shape up, buddy." Tell me what you think.
Wow. Okay. So here's what I think. I think that, and this is just my opinion based on what I know biblically, I would say we don't go to hell first and then to heaven. I say that really what hell is separation from God, and that God doesn't want any of us there, but he gives us an opportunity to follow him and to not only follow him, but serve him and allow him to be the Lord of our life. And when we do that, when we make Christ the Lord of our life, he wants us, we have that relationship. We get to spend our eternity with him in heaven, whatever that looks like. Right.
Okay.
Cause I haven't been there personally.
Right.
So I only know what the Bible says, and I only, and I trust in that. But what I would say is that I am sure that hell or whatever happens, how long were you dead?
Over 2 minutes for sure.
Okay.
Coming and going.
And of course, we know that time in the spiritual realm is not linear.
Sure.
It's very different than what we experience. But I guess what I would say to your experience, as the limited knowledge that I have, would be that, that there was separation from God. Were you a believer at the time? Or
yeah, absolutely.
Well, then I would say that there was separation. I don't know. That's crazy. Because I do believe, that the Bible says, when you're gone, you're with him. Okay. I have no idea.
Thank you.
Wow.
Nobody really does. But so this has created a little bit of not a separation, but a question mark for me, and it's not that I still believe. I know there's something else out there besides us. But when I start to hear people talk about the Lord, about heaven and all that, then I kind of go, but what? But that was not my experience. And now, but let me tell you, here's the good news. That was the second time I died. the first time I died, I had an out of body experience, or an experience that was more towards there is a heaven. And when I died the first time, I literally came above and looked at the scene of the accident and was able to see things that I didn't, I was unconscious. I was dead. And I could tell you the person that gave me CPR, I knew exactly their name. I knew everything about them, what they looked like. It was a very gray, perfectly sunny day, and everything was overcast. And I even saw the fire department come up, the time that they came up, all that. So I was very much not in my body at that time. So, two very different experiences separated by 15, 16 years. So, in my opinion, I probably need to shape up a little bit. So,
so here's what I would say to that. Because I think that sometimes we have this human idea of who God is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very limited to our humanity, and we put God in a box. God is so much more, and we don't know what we don't know. And that's the beauty of faith. That's the beauty of, just trust. And I think that we can say that, yes, there is grace, and he is amazing, but he does want us to follow him, and to, we are to be Christ-like. And so there are things that we do need to do. It's not just, hey, free for all because I'm saved.
Right.
We do need to follow him and be true to him. But I just thank God that there is grace. And so I think who knows what happens when you die?
Yeah.
I know what the Bible says, and I know what I believe, but the rest of that, who knows what that looks like, and what it means to stay dead, right? Because you can't even speak to that, right?
Right, exactly. We don't know.
Yeah. So I guess I would say I'm not arrogant enough to know the truth of all of it, but I know the one who does. And
there you go. I liked it. That is a very great answer. I don't know, but I'll find out for you. How about that? Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, so tell us a little bit about, and sorry if I caught you off guard there, but I ask,
I love it.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Set Me Free Project.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Set Me Free Project is an organization that I started about 7 years ago because there was a lot of good stuff happening in the area of human trafficking. So we do prevention education on human trafficking, social media safety, and healthy relationships. But nobody was talking to the target of trafficking, which is youth and young adults, really, is who our target is, or who their target is. And so we began, and today we have a curriculum from third grade through college age for youth. We love going directly into the classroom. But then we also talk to adults of every facet. And I think what really sets us apart is that human trafficking is a scary topic, but you can't really do anything that's just fear-based.
Right.
If it's all fear-based, people usually go the opposite direction.
Right.
We want to empower and engage. And so we have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot with our presentation. And we say, although we take the topic very seriously, we don't take ourselves very seriously.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's but it's stuff that we all need to know, because the truth is we are all at risk for trafficking. It's not about kidnapping and shipping overseas. That's what we often think it is.
Right.
It's the buying and selling of a human being for the personal profit or gain of another through force, fraud, or coercion. And that force is what we usually think about, but it's usually the fraud and the coercion piece, fake relationships, fake job offers, and then through social media. That's where we're targeting.
Yeah, I bet social media is huge on on trafficking. So you said something interesting, and so I'm going to back it up a little bit. People, kids especially, are very fearful. I remember I was a latchkey kid, and before the first day I was going to have to come home for the first time by myself, and I think I was maybe 10 or 11 years old, and I was responsible for my brother too. My grandmother scared the living shit out of me and I lived in a small town of like 5,000 to 6,000 people. And we went through the scenarios. What if a truck pulls up next to you and asks you to get in? What if they have candy? What if a friend wants to take you? Blah, blah, blah. We didn't have cell phones. There was none of that.
Right.
It was head home, run home, straight home. If any of that happens. And I was so scared. Wow. And now I remembered it. I remember, but we were looking over our shoulders. Yeah. We weren't playing, we were beelining. So it was probably okay. But I can imagine nowadays, especially, that we can just scare the bejeebas out of these kids.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is, because we fear the white van driving by and snatching us and, whatever. But if that's not what's typically happening, then we're looking for the wrong thing and we're going to miss what is actually happening.
Bingo. Yeah. So biggest factor is probably the internet these days, right?
Yeah. Number one, social media. And so, what used to take traffickers a lot of legwork, they can find out in the press of a button. We're posting everything about ourselves on social media. And so it makes it real simple to do. And we always say we have to remember that when we have access to the world has access to us.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have to be real mindful of what we're posting. And then we have to be mindful of who we're connecting with on social media. So if somebody is building a relationship with us on social media, that could be a huge red flag that maybe that's not, the way to meet
right.
people.
Well, and I think it starts at home too, on what they're posting. These little girls are on TikTok especially, and they're just flaunting themselves. And you don't know what age they are. They're lying about their ages and things to be big girls or whatever the case may be. And so that it seems like a very sticky, parents need to be involved in their social media.
Yes, absolutely. That is a huge message. We talk to parents, community members a lot. And one of the things is you have got to be monitoring your kiddos' social media. You've got to know where they are in the real world and the cyber world at all times. And that seems like a privacy breach, but our job is not to be their best friends.
Right.
Our job is to get them to adulthood, to be amazing citizens, amazing human beings, and alive human beings.
Yep.
And so it's really important that we are parents first. Absolutely.
And I love the way you say that. We're not their friends, and we have plenty of time to be their friends afterwards. My daughter just had, I'm really good friends with my kids now. They're adult children.
Yeah.
And I love hanging out with them because they're good human beings now. But I was a dick when I was so I'm surprised that they want to be around. But we just had my daughter's, she just got married this weekend. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was quite the emotional affair. But it's so interesting enough. Parents are not involved in social media as much as they should be. But for a parent that is a great parent, and this is my opinion, a great parent who's involved, at what point do they start to lax up and give trust to their child, especially knowing that 15 to 18-year-olds are really, a big target as well?
Yeah, I think what I say is, and I have an adult child and then I've got two teenagers. And I think that, you do start giving them a little bit more freedom, but that is after you've had those conversations. You've really talked to them about what truth is. And I don't think that you necessarily let up on the guiding and the monitoring. I think it just looks a little bit different after a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Tell me, why did you get involved in human trafficking?
You bet. Well, so I had worked with women in the area of domestic violence and addiction. I'm a covering up domestic and sexual violence. And so that was a real natural place for me to be. I had also worked with youth in the area of healthy relationships in the schools. And one day, this woman I was working with said, "Let's help sex trafficked victims." That's a quote. And I had no idea what that meant. And so we started to really look into that. And we realized, gosh, it does not look like what we thought. It does not look like the movie Taken. It looks very different. And at the time, my kiddos were younger. And I thought, gosh, nobody is telling me about this, and nobody is telling them about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really how we began. We wrote a curriculum because there was nothing out there that was written for youth. And there was nothing out there that wasn't fear mongering. And so the curriculum that was really based on, you have incredible value and no one can change that. You have an intrinsic value that no one can change. And so that's how it began. And that's how all of our presentations began, because sex trafficking is just a symptom of not recognizing that we have incredible value. So, and today we are in about 400 schools across the Midwest. And then we also offer organizations like a franchise, or we sell our curriculum and model and kind of work with people throughout to teach them how and what we do. So if there are agencies outside of our area, they can bring this to their community with our help and with our support.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, you really should be in every single juvenile detention center.
Absolutely.
Across the world. Those are the most at-risk teens.
Yeah.
Boys and girls. I mean,
yeah, that's the key. Exactly. We think a lot of times it's just girls, but it is boys and girls. And that's a really important piece. Yeah.
So I'm a bail bondsman, been a bail bondsman for 25 years.
Wow.
And, one of my rules, especially when I had little ones, was, we're very careful about those types of crimes. Sure. And I learned through the hard way, because I had to chase bad guys that were accused of these crimes. And I was finding out, I was on their trail, and there was this rash of victims. And what I figured out was that when they got caught, there was one person they got caught with, but there was 15 or 20 in their background that they didn't get caught with. And it was just destroyed human little boys 12 to 15 years old, just destroyed.
Yeah.
And afraid to even talk to me. And I was trying to put their guy back in prison.
Exactly. Layers upon layers of trauma.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine. And I couldn't imagine for my own children. So parents out there, just, you don't want to have that. You don't want to have that in your life. I mean, I don't know. I can't even talk about it. It's sickening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sickening. So are you getting much help out there from federal government, local governments? How's that? How do you work with them, or what kind of frustration might lie there?
Well, I can definitely talk about frustration.
I bet.
It's really interesting because prevention is so important. And prevention is, our goal is to stop it before it starts. Less than 2% of trafficked individuals are recovered. Less than 2%.
Oh my God.
Yep. But we are a very reactive society. And so people don't like to fund prevention. So to get a federal grant to actually fund true prevention is almost impossible. It has just been so difficult. And although the restorative part and the recovery piece is critically important, if we don't prevent it first, it's great. And there's a study that says for every for every $1 you spend on prevention, you're saving $35 on recovery.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. So we really, ours is individual donors, private foundations, because the government as a whole and so many others just don't understand funding prevention and
Right.
the importance of it,
Yeah.
which is hard.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
be politically charged if we didn't wait for it to happen. So
Right. It's not sexy,
Right.
prevention. I mean, I can tell you stories, but it's just much more exciting to talk about a kidnapping than it is talking about, wow, we actually saved this kiddo's life before, it got to the place that,
ugh, it's just sad. Very, very sad. Well, I appreciate what you're doing. And so if somebody wants to get involved with your organization, tell us how they do that.
Absolutely. You can find us at setmefreeproject.net. And we love to have people get involved in a number of different ways. Or if you want to do this in your community, that's where you would find us. And we're on all the social media links and things, but you can reach us at info@setmefreeproject.net. And we would love to connect with you in any way.
I love it. You guys, that will all be in our description as well. And I'm not done with you yet. I just wanted to make sure we got that in there.
Great.
I do have a short show, but we're still a little short.
Fun. Yeah.
Okay. So you wrote 2 books, and we're going to kind of go back to the other subject a little bit.
Okay.
But you wrote 2 books. Now, first of all, I want to say anybody that writes a book, it's a hankering. It's very difficult to write a book the first time. How was that process for you?
Well, it was a lot of early mornings because when I wrote that book, my kiddos were very little. And so I was usually writing before anyone woke up, which was pretty darn early. But it's a commitment for sure. Yeah. And Jesus is Passing By is a lot of my story and a lot of, some of the stuff that I dealt with. So I think that was, that kind of came from the heart. So it was maybe a little bit easier to put on paper. But it's a laborious
undertaking.
process. Yeah. Yeah.
And you loved it so much. And you weren't done with the punishment. You wrote 2 of them.
Yes, the other one was a joint effort between my sister and myself and another friend. Oh. And it was really, I think it came from the place of being, we need to sit down and read our Bible and pray. And this is what it looks like every day. And then we check it off. And that's just not what a relationship looks like. Right. And so how can we have a relationship with God and make it meaningful and make it different every day, or, some new ideas. So that book is really good for not only brand new believers, but also people who, are very mature believers, but just need some new ideas. Sure.
I like it. And so, just so you know, or just so our listeners know, of course, my relationship with God is much different so I'm a Catholic. I was baptized Baptist as a child. Mm-hmm. That was a forced situation. And then as I grew up, I baptized Catholic, and then that sort of didn't work for me either. That was like boot camp for the soul. And I put my whole family in, we all got involved, and we did that for probably 5 to 7 years. And then one day I was like, somebody told me once that I was going to hell because I didn't show up last Sunday. I'm done with that. And so now I go to, and I don't even go a lot, especially with Corona. He kind of went online and stuff, but I go to a non-denominational. Yeah. But my relationship is inside. I speak when I pray how I want to. It's not formatted. And I live it. My wife and I always say we show God through the way we live, and not the way we worship. And so
there's a scripture that says, how beautiful are the feet of the pastors, and it is about people are going to be drawn to Christ, not because of necessarily even what you say, but of how you live and how you overcome and those kind of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if we had more people doing that today, America wouldn't be up in arms the way we are. And
it would be very different.
Yeah, I do believe that. There's a lot of anti-Christ rhetoric going out there now in our country, and we've just fallen off kilter. It seems like nobody really has right and wrong in their heads anymore. It's actually flipped around.
It's true. And I think people are very fearful. And we just have to remember this isn't our home, that, Jesus has gone before us and made a place for us. And that's where we live, or that's where that's what we look forward to. But we can't get caught up in the worries of this world. And it's easy to do.
Yeah.
But this is not where we are going to stay.
That's right. And I'll tell you, when I died, I wasn't scared. So, maybe we shouldn't be scared of it. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Yeah. I never once had a piece of fear.
Wow.
And I don't remember everything, but I do remember going black, and then I remember going light. And it was, my wife said the light, because it came on like there was a light, a pinhole of a light, and then it got bigger, and then I came to life. So,
wow,
interesting, what that might have been too. So it wasn't all hell.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I think
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I don't know why it takes death to change people, but it did. And I was overworking and things, and we always, my wife and I, help our community a ton. And we always have, but now I help in a different way. It's maybe not not, I was going to say selfish, but not so stressful.
Yeah.
The money is not the aim anymore.
No, right.
Helps. So
that does help. Yes, it really does help, especially if you run a nonprofit like me. Yes.
Yeah, it. So now, how do people get a hold of you? Do you do coaching as well? I saw. Is that right?
So I don't do real coaching, like I'm not, but I love helping people. And so I'm not a life coach per se,
okay,
but I always welcome conversation and things like that. So and I've got two sides. I've got my professional speaking and podcasts and stuff like that. That's at stephanieolson.com, and you can reach me at Stephanie, spelled correctly, STEPHANIE, at Stephanie Olson, OLSON.com. And then there's setmefreeproject.net. And you can reach me at Stephanie at setmefreeproject.net. So it just kind of depends on, and you can reach me at any place. It doesn't matter what you're trying to reach out for. You'll find me. But if you want to talk human trafficking and have questions about that, or we do webinars or all the things, setmefreeproject.net. And then the resiliency and trauma into triumph and that type of stuff, and getting me booked for a speaking engagement or something, is stephanieolson.com.
I love it. And Ivan, if you're listening, we need to get your group associated with Set Me Free. So be sure and hit me up, but I'm going to hit you up before this comes out. So
awesome.
Anyway. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And it's good to know you. You're a great soul. I can see it right through the screen here.
Thank you. Well, this was fun. I really appreciate getting to know you, and anytime.
All right. Well, we may have you on again then, if you just opened the invitation. I heard you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to Sons of Ditches. For more information, go to my website, ronworley.com, and my YouTube channel, Sons of Ditches. Facebook, Ron L. Worley, or Instagram at Ronald L. Worley II.